Hey, you guys, this is Pamela Fagan Hutchins, and you have found your way to Wine, Women, and Writing. This is a show where I like to talk to authors, especially about their complex female characters, what makes them authentic, what's pulled from real life, what's pulled from imagination, and how we get there. I tend to lapse into a little oversharing profanity and irreverence during the show. In fact, I encourage that. And so hopefully that's your jam, because that's what you're going to get. I am coming to you today from the sweltering Dallas city, and I'm dying. I'm supposed to be in Wyoming. I'm not. It's killing me. But I am having a great summer with some wonderful book stuff going on. Go out to my website and check it out, PamelaFaganHutchins.com. We've got the new Maggie releases, and coming soon, I've got Switchback, which is switching it up a bit for me and jumping out of my series. And while you're there, check out past shows of Wine, Women, and Writing. You can look at the videos, you can listen to the actual podcasts, and check out the books that are coming so that you can be prepared to read along with me as I talk to our great guests. And speaking of great guests, today I have the very talented Rea Frey with me to talk about her new novel, Because You're Mine. Welcome to the show, Rea.
Thanks for having me. All about the profanity, as seen in my cup. You're awesome. Keep that shit up. So, you know.
This is my favorite interview already. Cool. And also admiring the art behind her as well.
Yes.
Pretty cool. Is that a dating cap on her?
It is. Yes.
Like an Esther,
yeah.
You know, whatever that was. Can't remember.
I know what you're talking about.
Need coffee. So Rea is in Nashville, right?
I am, where it is also as hot as the surface of the sun. So I feel your pain.
Yes, I can't ever decide if it's like a sauna or if it's a steam room. Given day, or an oven, but hell nonetheless.
Yes, hell, complete hell. Yes.
We've spent a lot of time in Nashville recently because of one of our daughters being a PhD computer science candidate at Vanderbilt. So
that's awesome.
I can attest to hot. We did a bachelor party in Nashville last summer.
It's become the bachelor and bachelorette like capital of the U.S. somehow, something to be proud of.
There's so many people going down Broadway. Yeah. It's unbelievable. It's like,
it is. We avoid downtown. We just avoid it completely.
Well, it's lovely. And of course, Nashville is the home of Killer Nashville, one of the premier mystery thriller suspense writer conferences in the country, and the sponsor of the Silver Falchion Award. And Falchion.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just going by you since you've won it.
Well, and I still don't know how to say it, but I do put it on all my books. Let's tell you. But are you going to the conference to see if you win?
I am, and I'm on like 4 different panels or 5 different panels. So so I'm nominated in the suspense category. I was like, it's an award. Like, it's so exciting.
It is so exciting. When I won it, J.A. Jance won for thriller. And I was more excited about J.A. Jance winning and being able to say J.A. Jance and I. And
absolutely.
That weekend where I won an award with J.A. Jance, that was But it was a super fun conference. Tell Clay Stafford I said hello, and
I will
for you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Fingers crossed.
Absolutely. So speaking about the book, Because You're Mine, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
And if you had to choose between your 2 babies, because you've now got 2 novels out, and of course the nonfiction, is that 6 babies? If you've got 4?
Yes, that's correct.
Which is your favorite baby?
I mean, it's so funny too, because I really try to separate the emotion from books. Like, I really do look at them as products to sell on a shelf and kind of approach this as a business. So once I'm done with something, I'm just done with it. But I think not her daughter, because, there was no deadline in writing that book. It was something that I was called to just write this. I saw this mother-daughter in an airport. I went home. I was working 3 jobs. I quit 2 of them and wrote this book in a month, my debut. And it just was so fun. I mean, there was no pressure. I wanted it to get published. I wasn't sure, if it was going to happen, but I didn't really give myself a plan B. So I think just with that story and being a mom with a 5-year-old, and the book is about a woman who kidnaps a 5-year-old to save her from her mother, I just had all of these kind of emotional entanglements. So for me, that book's always going to be super special because it launched kind of this new fiction career.
And so between fiction and nonfiction.
Yeah, so I've always wanted to write novels. It's the thing that I wanted to do. I went to school for it at Columbia for creative writing, and then kind of switched once I graduated to nonfiction for some strange reason. And I love working with clients on nonfiction. I have a side business where I write nonfiction book proposals for clients and get them agents and book deals.
Right.
So that's really fun. But I just love writing fiction. I love losing myself in a story. There's nothing like it.
I always think of it as nonfiction. I gravitated toward it first too.
Yeah.
And it was easier. It was easier.
Oh, it's completely.
And then once you get into the fiction, it's like having OCD. You're obsessed with it. You can't put it down. But I totally agree with you on the not having pressure and in the beginning and how you can follow the story. And then afterwards, it's like, I've got 30 days.
Yep.
This shit out, and then I got to move on to the next one, and I'm promoting the last one, and it becomes a conveyor belt.
It really does. And I mean, I'm contracted for 4 books, so I'm on a book a year contract with St. Martin's Press, which is awesome. But as you know, it's like so much of it is about hustling and promoting and doing events. I did close to 30 events with Not Her Daughter because I just said yes to everything. I'm like, I'm going to say yes because you kind of have to in the beginning when readers don't know who you are. And I'm kind of doing the same thing with this book. I mean, 2 books out in technically less than a year. I'm still recovering from Not Her Daughter. And I'm like, here we go again.
Yeah. And they start to get confused in your head. And
totally.
Question, and you're like,
yep.
I have no idea.
Yes. Brain dead.
I have the ability to
it's coffee.
Sentence that I wrote, I can't
yes.
But now let's get to Because You're Mine, because it was wonderful. I really enjoyed it. And I hope it's a big success for you. It's bigger than your first book. But tell us about it for those losers that didn't read it yet. And I'm talking to you.
Well, it just came out a week ago. So I'm going to give people a little bit of space. This book is really, I guess my elevator pitch would be kind of about what happens when 4 girlfriends who are raising only children, they're in various stages of their life, they decide to go away to the mountains in Asheville, North Carolina, and one of them dies and leaves their child without a guardian. Kind of in the aftermath, all of these secrets and pasts kind of come to light. And I wanted readers to be left with the question, how well can we ever really trust our friends? And this idea was really born when my daughter, it was a couple years ago, I guess I got the concept for this book, and all of my friends had only children at the time. And we would kind of sit around and talk about like, what would happen if one of us died and left our child without a guardian, if we didn't have a partner or family? And just having to trust the people around you, to watch your child. So that was kind of like where the seed of the idea was born. And then it the book follows 3 different points of view. And it's super duplicitous and twisty, and you really don't know the truth until the very last page. It's kind of one of those books, but it was really, really fun to write because I'm so interested in the images we portray to the world and the age of social media. And my life's so great. And then just all the darkness that can kind of creep up that we don't really present to the world, and kind of what that might make us do in certain circumstances.
Well, it was super twisty, and you had me. I did not expect the ending, so you go, girl.
Excellent.
And you ruined. I'm an introvert, and I was already anti-girlfriend weekend, and now
right. And I'm actually going back. So the book takes place in Nashville, and the girls go to Asheville or Black Mountain, which is a little town outside of it. And I'm going back there. I've been back there several times since I wrote it, but I'm always like, it's kind of ruined it for me too. I'm like,
we can't go much further because we don't want to spoil here, but beware your girlfriends.
Beware.
Well, for me, one of the things that I enjoyed about this book, even though he did not get a point of view, was Mason. I've got an on-spectrum adult child who's like super freaking awesome. And so that was fun for me to write. And I loved that you included, I thought it really amped up the tension, of course, because he makes everything more challenging by the nature of his awesomeness. But
I agree. Mason was one of my favorite characters. I know he's only 7, but I don't know. I really loved writing that character.
Yeah, it reminded me so much of my son that I just wanted to hug the book. It's like, oh,
Aw.
I love you. And so when you're writing multiple points of view from a practice standpoint, do you write the story as you expect it to come out? Or do you write each person's story and then weave them together? How's your
Yeah, this one was tricky because when I got a 2-book deal with St. Martin's Press, I didn't even know what the second book was going to be. We sold it and then I was like, I don't know. So when we started the book, it was actually more women's fiction, and it was 4 points of view. It was Grace, Lee, Alice, and Carol. So it was just these 4 girlfriends. It wasn't as twisty. It was more women's fiction. And then we kind of scrapped that and came up with this new concept. So the book changed so many times, like the villain changed so many times and the storyline changed so many times that I tend to be a writer who kind of writes in order. I don't write all of one character and all of another. But since then, I've discovered Save the Cat writes a novel. Have you read that book?
No, but it sounds already.
Oh my God. It is. So Save the Cat, is a popular book for screenplay writers, and they kind of, the stories go on these 15 beats, or screenplays hit 15 different beats. So this author, Jessica Brody, took the same concept and applied it to every genre of a novel and laid out these 15 beats. And it has been the most life-changing book I've ever read in my life.
Save the Cat
writes a novel. It is, so I've got like a whiteboard in my office, and for my 3rd and 4th books, just because I'm not a big outliner, but this is proven, like this formula works. It works again across all different genres. The books that are bestsellers kind of use this, whether they know that they do or not. And it has been the most helpful thing ever. So from here on out, I'm using that. Like the first 2 books were, kind of like piecemealed together. And now I'm going to have like an actual strategy.
Well,
but yeah.
When you think about, like you talked about, and I'm sure there were multiple people involved in this, as I think back on my own experiences and friends, when you're ripping a book apart and you've got an idea and all of a sudden you can't even figure out what's going on with it anymore because everybody's got a different idea that they're putting into it. And it's demoralizing. It's frustrating. It's depressing. You don't ever think you can get over the mountain. So anything that can keep you from having to go through that again.
Oh my God. Exactly. And it's like, oh, this is like a foolproof plan. Like, where you're going. And of course things are going to kind of change, but it's the smartest book on constructing a novel that I've ever seen. So I'm so thankful.
I have been a fan of Take Off Your Pants, which is by Libby Hawkins. And it's a plotter versus a pantser approach, but I'm going to now have to Save the Cat.
Are you a plotter or a pantser? You're probably a plotter now.
I'm plotter now because I just can't survive without it. I was pantser, but how do you meet deadlines without a little planning? Because you can't afford to go off on some tangent.
No, you're right. You're totally right. Yeah.
Deadline. There's a cover for this book,
Yep. Are you on a book a year as well?
I'm due, it's roughly a book a year, but what I do is I do trilogies. And so they're not incredibly long, and it's a little more than a year, but one trilogy in that time frame.
That's amazing.
But they're mysteries. And so for me, and by the way, my first book took me 5 years to write, now it's a book a month, and then turn around and go through the process with that book. But I write 3 in a row, like boom, boom, boom. And then I start editing for continuity, because I'm always carrying the character. I like writing in a concentrated, focused period of time, because I feel like if you just kind of keep toiling away, it'll never even be the same concept or book that it started with. I lose my voice if I
completely
if I wait too long. I made the mistake once of waiting 2 years before I wrote the next book in a run, and it just nearly undid me, So I agree with you. I love it. And I know some people that can't work that way, and everybody's got to find their own creative niche, but it works for me.
Me too. Yeah. I love the concentrated, just focus. Yep.
Yeah. If I even sit down for a week, I come back and I'm like, did I write this? Somebody snuck in here and messed with my manuscript.
Completely.
So when I was trolling your website, which I don't know if you could feel the force this morning. preparing. But I loved that your bio on your website, I felt a kinship here, said that part of what you do is spend time ogling your sexy husband.
Yes.
You and I are soul sisters.
Yes, I love it.
my producer for the radio show calls my husband the hunk, and
awesome.
and pretty much he's just, someone asked me yesterday, what's your writing passion? I said, Eric.
That's amazing. I love that. I love that.
So you have a hot husband and an adorable daughter.
I do. She's 7, and we just started homeschooling last February because
you don't have enough to do.
Because I don't have enough to do. I mean, side business, books. I did freak out after we did it because she's been talking about this for like a year and a half, and it was something we kind of, I don't know, we just weren't sure. I was like, I don't know if I can do it. My husband, he's a creative, but he does work in an office, so I knew it was gonna fall on me. And so we pulled her out. Sophie was so excited. And then those first 2 weeks, I was like, I have ruined your life. I have ruined my life. I'm never going to be able to work or be alone or take a walk. But we've since found our footing, and it's so incredible because I just don't feel like education is synonymous with learning. And I feel like, I don't know, I have so many thoughts about the school system in general, but if for us and for our family, it's been phenomenal.
It's again back to everybody having their niche and square pegs and round holes and diamond shaped holes, et cetera, and finding what works. With us having one kid, we have 5, but with one that was amazing on the spectrum, he was just different from all of them, and so you come up with a different approach. And man, hats off to you, because I always said I would slit my wrists if I ever had to do that.
Yes. Well, but so she isn't home like every single day. We found this amazing tutorial program that she does 3 days a week from 9 to 3:30. And it's so incredible. They learn to fail and struggle, and they get an emotional education, and it's all peer based and, entrenched in philosophy and questions. And they do yoga and have a meditation garden. And talk about what they're grateful for. I'm like, can I go here? Absolutely. But so because I love to batch my work too, she does that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And I can really take that time to concentrate. And then we get 4 days with each other a week as well. It's really nice.
Almost perfect setup.
It is, because she doesn't burn out. We don't burn out. Like it's lovely.
Wow, that is a dream come true for a homeschooling parent, is to have a way not to burn out. Yes. So do you think that your homeschooling life will show up in your books? Does it?
Well, it's funny because You're Mine, it does. Lee homeschools Mason, but she has a homeschool tutor and occupational therapist. But I wrote that before we started homeschooling, so it was kind of funny how that showed up, but.
For a minute there, I was thrown off remembering that because of Noah spending time with him during the day. But yes,
totally. Yes. Yep.
And so now, what are you working on now? And so more than one thing.
Yes. So my third book, Until I Find You, will come out next August. And it's about a blind woman who believes her 3-month-old son has been swapped, but no one will believe her. So that has been so amazing and challenging to write from the point of view of a visually impaired person. I think it was such a cool, complex subject to take on. And I love to see protagonists with disabilities. I think it's something we should see more and more of. But working on that. And then Not Her Daughter was optioned for film before I got published. And the production company has since wanted to, instead of doing a feature film, they want to do a TV show. And they asked me to write the pilot. So I just got done with that, which was a tough, interesting experience, but I really liked it. I don't know if you've ever tried to write a screenplay. It's so different, but I liked it.
I worked with a screenwriter on my first novel to collaborate on one. And it was a huge learning experience. It was so interesting. Nothing has come of it yet. It's being shopped to Hallmark,
Oh, that's awesome.
Hallmark, whatever. But it's still, I look back on it and it changed me as a novelist.
Totally.
And it made me make choices knowing this won't translate well to film, but I don't give a shit.
This completely. Yeah.
In my head, or this will, maybe I should consider it. So
yes, I think it's so important to try your hand at different things. As as writers. I mean, just do stuff. Even if you're terrible at it, I think it helps you in some ways.
That's me in poetry.
No, yeah, that's what I started with actually was poetry. That's like where I got my love for writing, was poetry. And now I've totally gotten away from it, but.
So do you see more nonfiction in your future? Do you see screenwriting as something you want to get into?
It's so funny because I have about 22 nonfiction clients in my business, and a lot of them are CEOs and executives. And I've really seen through creating these book proposals, I mean, the author platform is still so critical. Like I had 4 nonfiction books published. It was kind of right at the start of social media. And I just did not have that huge author platform that you really, really need. And I think it's more critical now to have that huge platform. And I've worked at it, but I'm still such small potatoes and what I would need for nonfiction. But if I did write one, I'd love to write a book called Don't Talk to Strangers, and like other BS myths we're taught as children, like taking the 10 biggest things we hear as kids over and over and over again, and kind of dispelling those myths and writing some new rules.
That sounds like a fun
I think it'd be fun. I think it'd be really fun. But I get my nonfiction fix through working with my clients, and I really kind of want to stay on the path of fiction.
Do you ghostwrite too, or do you?
I do. Yeah. So I write, I edit novels, and I ghostwrite. A lot of the book proposal clients, if they get deals, then they're like, hey, can you write this?
And it's such an important thing, I think, for both readers and other authors to hear, is that you can look at someone and your perception is, wow, she's got a film deal and she's got 6 books, and, and she's a novelist, and how hard you have to hustle.
Oh my God. It is unbelievable. Like I was able to scale my side business with writing into a 6-figure business this past year, which was phenomenal. But it's like how much money I spent on travel, on publicity, on all of those things. I mean, you kind of have to do it. I look at it as startup expenses for starting a business. And when you're starting as a novelist, no one knows who you are.
And you do. You have to spend money to make money, and it doesn't get easier or better. It's just the numbers get bigger to keep you there.
Exactly.
On both sides, but it's like the expenses and the income.
Yes.
Suddenly you're a huge money revolving door.
You are. I mean, yeah, the more you make, the more you spend. And I mean, I think it's critical. And I talk to so many authors who come to me to write proposals, and they're like, I just want to be a New York Times bestseller and like have my book in the airport and make, like, I don't know, like $500,000. And I'm like, well, then you're in the wrong profession. I mean, you can get there someday, but it's so much work. And I feel like understanding this business, I don't know if you feel like this about the publishing industry, but it can seem very private, and like you can't peek behind the curtain of what's going on. So I'm super curious. I ask questions. I want to know my numbers, my data, what's happening at all times. And I think it's critical to your success to just understand the business of what you're doing.
Understand it, and to know that what's possible and what's not.
Yes.
It's like your clients. You can hit the New York Times bestseller list. It's going to cost $150,000.
Oh my God. Yes, totally. I'm like, you can pay to be on that list. People are like, what?
No, that's a list of bestsellers. And it's like, no, let's talk.
Yes, let's talk. I know I've like crushed so many people by just kind of talking about the realities of it, but it's a long game. It's a career. It's not an overnight thing. And I think it's better when you earn it. I mean, some of these people come out of the gate with 7-figure advances and these huge deals. And I feel like there's nowhere to go but kind of plateau or down. And
exactly. The expectations become very high. Talk about pressure.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
It's the little intrinsic awards along the way that I always encourage people to celebrate. It's the first time you're up for a silver fashion.
Yes. I know. I was so excited about that. I'm like, oh my God, it's an award.
They like me. They really, really like me.
Yeah. Right.
But it's that's what keeps you going. It's the reviews from readers, or the emails, or the Facebook posts, and you're like, they read my book and they got it. And
yes. What do you think about social media? Like, are you a huge proponent of it? Do you think that you have to have it in this day and age to survive and thrive as an author?
I think that you have to do something to stay. You have your name and your books in front of people, and that means you need to be wherever your audience is.
Yep.
So where and on the one hand, that makes it easier than it was in the past when Jane Austen is in the country and her books are in London. But it is harder because everybody's scrambling for the same space, and it begins to feel like this endless shilling that we're all doing as we present ourselves. And so I am so torn in pieces about it. I'm definitely too out there, I feel like, but yet.
But your platform's Facebook, right? Are you Facebook mostly?
Facebook, because my audience is, I find women that are of 40 and up.
Yeah.
And so I'm going where they are. And so I don't, I do a lot of book club and I do some Goodreads, but mostly it's Facebook.
Yeah, I think picking one. Instagram is like the Bookstagram community and all of that has been so supportive. Like that's, to me, I feel like that's where my readers are. But I've toyed with ditching Facebook and Twitter because I don't engage that much. But it's like that thing like, am I allowed to do that? I don't know. Absolutely. It's terrifying to think, if I do, then what? If I'm not there and then that becomes the thing, what do I do? Exactly. And I've never really cracked Instagram at this point, Yeah, we should talk because they are the most supportive people on the planet. Like it's, again, not necessarily translating to sales as Facebook can, because I feel like people actually will click to buy, but from sharing your book and just the consumption with their audiences, it's unbelievable. It's been so pleasant. It does. That matters a lot. How many impressions do you have to get on your name or your book before somebody converts to a buy? Now, dear readers, we are talking about things that are going to make you go, ooh, icky. Yeah. we just want you guys to write books, but you have to think about all of it. It's a tough business. At the same time, you have to stay buoyant and creative. Yes, you do. Constantly reinventing. Exactly. And drinking wine. Wine is, important. It is important. It's a shame I always record this show in the morning. I know, right? That would be so fun. Like at night, I bet you get a huge audience at night with their wine. And really thinking that I'd love to do some in the evening. And I've been trying to find, I think what I want to do is start going to some conferences, because that's totally a drinking experience. Yep. It's like, let's go for a cocktail and just sit down side by side and do this interview. So maybe here's another one that's hard to say. VoucherCon. Are you going? VoucherCon, yeah. I'm going to be at VoucherCon. Oh, me too. Yes. Yay! Yes. Yay. That'll be so fun. We can have a class. Yes. We have a glass of wine and I'll do a lot of interviews. We'll do another one. That'd be so fun. And it'll be a blast and it won't be as hot. Yes. Well, here's hoping. Knock on wood. It is in Dallas, right? Yeah. So it's summer until November. Yes, it is. Well, you guys, thanks for being on with us today. Rea, this was so much fun. So much fun. Thank you so much. Definitely have to do this more offline. And for those of you out there that are reading along, okay, the cool kids, next week is J.B. Jameson and Distraction. And when is Killer Nashville? So we can send up the good mojo. It is, I think, August 23rd through the 25th. I could be wrong on that, but it's coming up in the next couple of weeks. So your other assignment, you guys, is to send up the good mojo and all that for Because You're Mine in the suspense category. And so for all of you out there, thanks for tuning in, and we will be back same time, same place next week with J.B. Jameson. Rea, thank you so much. This was a pleasure. All right. And let's see if I can do this. Stop live stream. I can do this. Bye.